Hello, everyone. My name is Majesty. I am an Atlanta-based real estate developer with $13 million in assets under management and another 50 million in the pipeline. I build and rehab apartment buildings. And so stick around for some real estate tips. I'm doing a 100 question series of the most common questions that I get from people interested in real estate development or investing. And today's question is, how do public-private partnerships benefit communities? So if you kept up with the last video, I kind of introduced public-private partnerships, also known as P3s, and that's essentially where you have a collaboration between the government and private sector. So you have a municipality, a state, the federal government or whatever, and then you have a privately held business that comes together to do a project or provide a service. So that's a public-private partnership. They happen all the time. There's a lot of money allocated for this type of activity on an annual basis from the government. So it's a very significant source of income for a lot of private sector organizations. So the key benefits to communities, I would say one would be infrastructure. Uh, in Atlanta specifically, I think it was nationwide news. There was an issue with the plumbing underground that affected businesses and houses for a pretty wide range. And it was due to lack of infrastructure, or lack of upgrading the pipes and things like that. Governments typically don't want to do those things until something happens, but if you bring a project and it's close enough to that infrastructure, it can be included in the project. Sometimes it's a part of the project, or they'll make you do it to get their support in the project. So, and we're talking about roads, schools, public spaces like parks, even sidewalks, simple things like that. But they're needed. They're necessary for people that are running and walking and all of that stuff. So, but a lot of roads don't have them. So a lot of times projects like this will get them to be incorporated in an immediate scope of work, where before they kind of keep punting it down the road until something happens, like in Atlanta. But anyway, number two, housing, specifically affordable and workforce housing. And affordable housing is usually defined as housing that's affordable for people. You hear two definitions. One will say you're spending less than 30% of your income on housing. So that can go all the way up to all levels of income. Housing is considered affordable if you're spending less than 30%. But also another definition will be 80% or below the AMI. And AMI stands for area median income. So basically the average kind of income in the area. It should be affordable for somebody making 80% or below that income. Workforce housing is a little bit above that. It's like 80 to, I've heard as high as 140% now of AMI. It's considered workforce housing. Slightly different demographic. Workforce housing typically has income, has a job, things like that. Affordable housing, not they have jobs as well. Depending on how far down you go on the AMI, you start getting around 30% in the poverty level. Then you start seeing more subsidies in different, situations, social security, vouchers, things like that. And you will see that above as well. You just see more lower. So these types of projects are important for communities because they have to be balanced. You need all types of demographics in your community to make it a full community because, if it's just a rich luxury community, with restaurants and schools and all of that, like, okay, who's going to teach in the schools? Who's going to work at the restaurants? Who's going to manage the restaurants? Who's going to, you know what I mean? So it's very important to have a mix, a balance of people at different levels, in your community so that it can function properly and have everything that it needs without any gaps. So affordable housing projects and workforce housing projects are very important, and those are typically done through public-private partnerships. There's a lot of funding available. A lot of it comes from HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, Department of Housing and Urban Development. I want to say definitely billions a year in funding available to do those types of projects. So it's very important with providing supply for that demographic, because otherwise investors would not touch it because it's risky. You know, you're dealing with a sensitive demographic, and they're typically looking for the biggest profit. So very important to have the government in that. Another one would be economic growth. When you do go in and start fixing the infrastructure and start building affordable housing, what happens is you start creating jobs, you start creating opportunities that benefit the people there. For example, a construction project, obviously, you need laborers. And when it's done, even when it's done, you need property managers, you need maintenance techs, you need, I mean, there's a lot of different people that work at a property, maybe even not specifically for the owner, but it creates jobs for people to do. You think about trash, whoever's picking up the trash, whoever's doing the landscaping, whoever's it's a lot of jobs created from these types of projects. So that's one way that it helps in economic growth. Also stimulates the economy with that growth. More people, in an area, they'll need more to do. So it stimulates the local economy in terms of attracting businesses and different activities. So it's very helpful, in creating growth in an area by providing, something, resources for people to utilize. Also, you have better public services typically in these areas. Once you've done all that work, now you can justify, increasing the public services in the area, whether it be the bus routes. Maybe there's a new bus route, or more consistent one. Maybe it comes more often now. You think about healthcare. They'll start putting these types of things in these areas because these people need to be serviced, and they have needs, and even like emergency services and things like that. Maybe they need to hire some more, firefighters and police officers and things like that to service this area that has now grown into a bustling area. So that's one way. And also community revitalization. So a lot of these projects happen. The funding usually is tied to areas that are distressed. So you're not just taking the government money and go and building apartments in Beverly Hills. They will want you to go build it in distressed areas that need, the product that you or service that you're offering. So what that does is revitalize the surrounding community. Once you fix something up in an area like that, it's contagious in a sense. One thing that leads to distressed properties is leaving them distressed. When somebody sees a house is boarded up, that's when they look to do things in there. They feel that nobody cares, or maybe graffiti all over it. Maybe the door is just open. But once you start showing that you care and actually investing into these areas, people take notice of that. They also understand that you put some resources there and most likely are going to protect those resources. So yeah, anyway, it helps to create safer, more attractive neighborhoods. So we're actually doing. I'll give you an example. We're doing a project now that's a major public-private partnership in terms of how much they are contributing to the property. So we're building 40 apartments. It's in a distressed area that just kind of had a bomb dropped on it in terms of kind of where everybody is. It needs to a lot of work, as far as commercial, even like retail, shopping center. It has it there. It's just so distressed. So it needs a lot of work, and they're doing the work. But it's a target area for the city of Atlanta. So we partner with them. We own the land. We came to them with the idea to build the 40 units. Our partners are not only going to put capital into the project, they're also going to bring supportive services. So we'll be partnering with the local behavioral center. And these apartments are permanent supportive housing, meaning they're for a special demographic that needs special help. So kind of special needs individuals, adults, of course. But so they're going to bring in, we're partnering with the behavioral health center. They'll have an office on site at the apartments, and they'll do case management and help all the people. Also, the city is providing rental vouchers for all of the units. So they'll provide 40 rental vouchers, meaning that we don't have to think about how to collect rents. We have it figured out, and this is a long-term contract. And this is specifically because we partner with the city government. Like there's no other way that we could get this done. No investor would put that type of money into the project. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to complete the project. We had to find the deal. We had to structure it. We had to make it make sense. We had to go through all the approvals. We had to go to the community meetings. It's not just one sided. But when you come together to do something like that and you both put forward your best foot and your best resources, it can really make projects happen that otherwise wouldn't happen, because no investor would invest in a special needs, complex like that and then bring in those services. It just, and nothing against them, it just doesn't make financial sense when I can just take my money and put it in the stock market or into crypto or something like that, or into another real estate deal. So it's very helpful that the government is aligned with our mission specifically. They also want to have housing for those people, so they're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, how can we get it done? So that's an example. Our 40 unit deal. It's a little over $8 million in total cost, and they're putting in, I'd say, about 25 to 30% of that, which is something about 2.5 million, is what they're putting in. And to be fair, they're putting in more than that when you consider that HUD is the one that's giving us the construction loan to do the project as well. So actually, they're all over the capital stack, really, when you think about it. The HUD money has to be paid back, but sometimes you can work things out with the government to where you don't have to pay the money back, or you can defer it, or you can even sometimes give them a piece of the deal. So they're kind of equity partners in a sense, and sometimes you can give them the land so that you can rent it back from them, and then they get rid of the taxes that way. So it's a lot of little things that the government can do that other people can't do, or the private sector can't do. So when you partner, you're able to use their tools and resources to get it done. So anyway, that's a quick rundown about the benefits of P3s, public-private partnerships. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate everybody for checking this out. I appreciate the comments and the questions. Keep them coming. Until next video, everybody. Bye.